This piece of Lisa is being brought to you by Mutual Security Credit Union. Find out more at mscu.com. So right before the show, I checked my Twitter account and I checked the @mentions and I saw this article, this shocking article, that there's a city in China that is banning residents from keeping dogs. And they're going to do it soon. It's going to take place by the end of August. In 1 week, owners can begin taking their dogs to drop-off centers where they will be either adopted by residents of rural areas, you have to give them away, or euthanized, killed. This is a city with a population of 3.8 million people, more than the entire state of Connecticut. So let's imagine the governor of Connecticut, God forbid, making an order, an edict with the legislators that they didn't want any more dogs. They didn't want any more poop. They didn't want any more bites. They didn't want any more dogs. And they've made an exception. People who have security for valuable warehouses or businesses will be granted licenses, but the Chinese language newspaper reports that it's unlikely that anybody, in fact, will be given licenses. And they're doing this because 42 people have died from rabies in the past 3 years. So now all of a sudden they want to ban, they want to kill all the dogs. What's going to be really interesting to see is whether or not the people in this city of China are going to comply. The blog called The Shanghaiist predicts that we're expecting scores of tearful farewells in the coming weeks. Can you imagine here in this country, US of A, if people were forced to give up their dogs? I like to think that we would exert and exercise our right to bear arms in defense of our dogs. I do. I like to think that we are the kind of people who would not willingly give up our dogs or cats, our animals, our companions, our trusted friends, our unconditional loving partners in life. I like to think that that's true. I can't imagine living in a place where I would be told to give up my beautiful Sugar, who's right now on my lap, or any of the pets that have accompanied me so far in this journey for the sake of somebody's crazy rule to avoid rabies. And a police officer who did not want to be named said our aim is not to kill all the dogs in the city's urban areas, but we hope to create a better environment for the city by banning the keeping of dogs, and we hope that dog owners and residents can understand and cooperate with law enforcement personnel. So I wonder about this. You have to wonder about a society that would pass such a law, and you 100% have to wonder about a society that would comply with such a law. I never would. I like to think that you never would. I like to think that much as Anne Frank hid in an attic during World War II, we would have secret attics for our dogs. But, you know, in the end, dogs have to go outside, right? I mean, that's what dogs do. I just think this is so horrific on so many levels. I wanted you to know about it. You're listening to the Lisa Wexler Show. For all these people that extol the virtues of China, they really don't get what China's about. They really don't get it. You just have to read the newspaper once in a while to understand what China's about. China's about government by fiat. China's about making rules so that the individual is squashed, so that individual ingenuity, individual freedom, individual religion, individual everything is not important. Anytime it becomes too important, the person will end up in jail or the dog will end up killed. I've told the story before on the air. If you're a regular listener, try not to be too bored, but I have a very dear friend who lived in China most of his life until he finally got here on asylum for being somebody who was persecuted by the Mao regime. And he ended up in a slave labor camp for 20 years. And he has told me many times that the first thing that the communists did was to kill all the dogs when they came into the city. And I said, why would they do such a thing? He said, because the dogs were the best protectors and spies against the regime. A dog would bark. A dog would make a sound. A dog would let you know when somebody was eavesdropping on you. And what the Mao regime was about, what communism is about and was about, was spying on your friends and neighbors so that everybody knew everybody else's business. And you couldn't do it that well if you had a dog. because dogs will prevent somebody from sneaking up on you. Dogs will bark if they smell or can sense a strange presence. And so the first thing they did was to kill the dogs. The dogs were killed for that reason. The cats were killed because they were a symbol of the bourgeoisie, of the middle class. And Mao wanted to eradicate any symbol of the bourgeoisie. I think it's estimated somewhere upwards of 30 million cats were killed in the first couple of years alone of the Mao regime. So, bad people. Really bad people. And before we carry on about how wonderful their society is and how wonderful it is to have their economic growth, give me my dog and take away some money from my bank account any day of any year. I really want to see people in the streets protesting. The sad thing is I doubt that I will. The sad thing is I doubt that I will. In a country in which just last month 500 dogs were on their way station to be killed for dinner, in the only civil disobedience protest that had ever been recorded in recent memory, a few people got together on Twitter, like on social media, and they met the truck and they stopped the truck from going to its destination, that one truck. But if they rounded up 500 one day, who's to say they don't round up 500 another? I'm surprised they're not taking these euthanized dogs and eating them. I mean, the whole thing is so disgusting. It's so gross. Okay. Anyway. You've just been listening to A Piece of Lisa. If you'd like to listen to the whole 2-hour show, please go to lisawexler.com where all shows are archived. And do follow me on Twitter @Lisa Wexler. Thanks for listening.